with us, they're going to have that person-to-person feel. The way I do that over text is I make sure they know it's me. I'll say just something random like, oh, you're in Virginia. Do you like Virginia Tech?
A lot of business models, you can't make $160,000 in your first 8 months. How does this business model weigh against like other businesses you've actually done in the past?
I just like that it's a vehicle you can like just put your head down and work and then see the result. If I just am consistent, like I will see the result.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Ron Apke, joined today by Sage and Morgan. They've been in the program for about 6 months. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Awesome. So let's just go. Let's just get your story before you got into land. Like, what got you into land investing? What did that look like?
So we both came from the holistic health field. I had a gym in San Diego, and Morgan had a Reiki certification program. So we were in like the coaching business for a while, and we came across real estate and wanted to just spread our wings and do different things. And then we got into land, and we thought it was a really cool niche in the market, and that's how we got started.
How long ago was this?
This was probably like June or July of last year, so probably about 8 months ago or so. It was kind of like a following the breadcrumbs moment for us. Like one thing led to another, and I've always enjoyed the creative process of real estate and thought it was really fascinating. And Sage really liked land. It caught his attention off the bat, and so it just made sense for us to try it.
And you guys kind of went all in once you found it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you guys started with wholesaling before kind of doing the flipping thing, or maybe I know you guys still wholesale double close a lot. Talk about that kind of transition. Like, were you guys doing infill lots at first and then transition to bigger lots? Talk about that.
So our story is unique. So to back up a little bit, right before we were getting into this, I was going to open up like a men's wellness house with a buddy. And Morgan was in a phase of her career where she's like, man, I just want to get into real estate. I don't know how to yet. So we started watching these flipping shows where people go in, flip houses out in Hawaii and stuff like that. And we're like, oh, this could be it. And then we came across wholesaling on TikTok, and Morgan was like, this seems like a better entry avenue. Like all the money up front goes into marketing. We don't have to do everything to make $1, and let's get started with what we know. So we started there. And then me naturally being in the coaching and holistic health space, I saw land as a spot that not as many people were in, and a spot where the margins I could see being a lot bigger. So our first infill lot deal, we sent out text message marketing to like 0.25 to an acre.
Yeah.
And we just happened to strike a 12 lot deal in a mobile home park.
Wow.
Where we sold 11 lots in a modular home. And the spread on that was pretty good. And when we did that, we had a serious talk of like, okay, we just saw a really big spread. We're not putting that much into marketing yet. We're using launch control. How can we continue to see these spreads with the money we're putting into marketing? Because it's not going to be like that every time with an infill lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw Dan on a guy's podcast, and I was like, oh, this makes sense because it's bigger land. There's going to be, it's going to cost more. There's going to be bigger spreads. And let's shoot into this and let's learn as much as we can. And that's when we just started learning from you guys, like watching all of your free content on YouTube. And then Morgan wanted to pull the trigger and get in the course, and we're used to investing in ourselves. So we're like, let's do it.
You guys are quick. You guys make decisions quick. Like you guys were about to go flip houses in Hawaii. And then you do the wholesaling. Like how did that, like, did it just click, Morgan, as far as like, okay, this house flipping thing's not for us, like putting a hard hat on and remodeling a house, like this wholesaling thing where we don't have to touch something makes a lot more sense?
Yeah, it was more like the speed for me, and it was just like I really like the aspect of like having both parties involved, as difficult as it can be. Like you're kind of the middleman, and to me, like I'm just naturally really good at that. And I think just seeing how quickly you can see a return on your investment for something like this, if you just stay consistent, stay just regulated, and you're able to like just like do them like a bunch in a row, like that to me was, because then if you're flipping houses, you're in the project you have capital tied up for 6 months, and to us, I was just like, there's too much risk, especially just getting into it. So that was kind of like the point for us. We're like, yeah, let's just try it this way.
That makes sense. What did you guys net on that 12 lot deal?
32.
32.
That's another crazy thing. Like you guys, like, okay, this isn't for us doing because you went away from infill lots after you made $30,000 on the deal, which is another like a lot of people wouldn't think about that. It's like just like keep doing more of these infill lots. But I guess when you look at 32 deals and you had to sell 12 or 11 of them in a mobile home, like it's like, okay, I'm not making that much money every time I flip something. Was that kind of like price per lot? Like you're just not making that much?
We learned quick, and Morgan did a tremendous job on marketing that deal in Facebook groups. And I mean, it took the right buyer. We barely got it
It was
off.
complicated. For sure.
It took some time, and we saw that, and we wanted to stay there because the time frame on these infills, we're very good at them. We get them done pretty quickly. And then mixing in the big acres, like I like being diverse. We enjoy doing both.
Yeah, we still do both, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have our list of 0.25 to 2 and then our list from 2 to 40. And we just kind of see in which market it's going to work at and just spread across America like that. And that's what we like to do. And it's interesting,
Yeah.
all the comping that we've learned from you guys, like going in and seeing markets and just understanding. And we've had a lot of really just quick ones. We've also gotten our butt kicked. So like we've been out in Arkansas and like seeing like we're not near anything
Yeah.
and we need longer contract times on these. These are going to take a couple months, but I think when we started, me and Morgan used to get a little discouraged on like, okay, we haven't gotten a buyer in a month because that's what we're used to with infill lots. But if you stay patient and it's at that right price point, they just come in like even month 2. It's just like we've had multiple agents call today on one. So it's all the process and learning what that process looks like so we can then scale from here.
Awesome. So you've a lot of double closing, that kind of stuff, and you what I like, you guys have learned from a lot of different spots because obviously if you went straight by your course, like buy, resell, which is great. But you guys have taken your knowledge that you've learned from different places and really brought that over. But what does your marketing look like? Is that all texting? What does the volume look like? How has that transformed over the last 8 months?
So we're doing mostly texting, I would say. And we have like 20,000 texts going out a month, which we're kind of at the point now where we're like looking to hire out just because of the volume of people you have to go through and thoroughly make offers to. Our first double close deal that we did, that was like a, tried and true double close that you guys teach, was from mail. So we've sent maybe 2 or 3 mail campaigns, and then we do the text follow-up after that. So they kind of are getting touched multiple times. But yeah, primarily text is kind of like we like being able to follow up and have those leads that we can refer back to.
I don't know if it was Daniel or someone said like you guys try not to get on the phone when you text people. Is that correct, or am I like you guys?
We barely get on the phone.
We will.
We will, but
We
we
don't
don't do it
mind.
much.
Yeah, we don't.
Talk to you. It's just like if you can, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've probably gotten 6 or 7 under contract where we never really spoke to them. We just texted with them.
So as far as like, I think a lot of people in wholesale in general, I don't think it's you guys, as far as like, they just like try to get anything under contract. They don't really know the margin there before they get under contract. Can you talk about that versus like what you guys are doing where like, you have margin in something before you lock it up?
Well, I'm gonna give a shout out Lamb Portal because I'm not touching stuff that's heavily sloped and has all the wetlands and everything. We've been through that process. I mean, we couldn't get off a lot that was just an amazing part, like because it has those issues. So ever since then, we've learned that every piece of land is not equal. Morgan does a great job. So in launch control, and I'm sure a lot of the text message marketing apps, like she goes in and she writes the notes on every single property, like to a T of like what we're seeing, and she can do that pretty fast. And when we go in there, we see what's going on. We're able to make a move pretty quickly.
He has like a very intuitive sense of people too. So he's like really good at sales to where he's like, what happened to that guy we talked to 4 months ago? And they like go and find him, and it's like,
Boom, they're
ready to
right
move.
there and they're ready to move.
So it's like a little bit of both. You have to have that feeling for people and be in there, but also, have
So
like
you're putting notes on every property or every property where you get a response, Morgan?
Every
response.
hot one. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. That's still time intensive for sure. You're sending out 20,000. I'm sure you're doing at least 500 per month and maybe more, right? More than that per month, maybe, as far as notes and stuff in there. Interesting. So you guys definitely aren't obviously trying to get things under contract, and that's the way to do it when you're wholesaling. Don't try to get things under contract without a margin there. Evaluate the deal, make sure you understand. But what are you guys trying to lock up as far as like what does that look like? If a property's worth $50,000, like where is your top dollar that you're gonna go into it?
Okay, so when we started off, and this is a good lesson I think for anybody wholesaling or doing this business, like I shot low, and I said, we always say it back and forth to each other. I said, hey, you know, put this offer in your back pocket and know you just have it from us.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up coming through on the deal. So we get into a lot of situations where we're in a winning scenario on the front end. And I believe that's a huge part of this business. When you have the ability to double close and you're in potentially good markets, it really comes down to your marketing on it as well. Morgan is so good at getting the right drone guy out there. Like you should see some of the footage. I'm like, damn, it's like a work of art. I would buy this right now.
Cool, yeah.
So we attack there very strategically. Her in-depth write-ups on like, does it have access to city water sewage? What's the perk test looking like? Like everything we want it to be able to pass off right away. So we spend time doing that in the right markets.
I think
And
the
you guys,
margin has to be close enough.
Yeah.
Like probably like we shoot for anything where there's enough wiggle, like 10-ish, like 10 to 20, I would say is kind of like our like, okay, well, we can probably make this work comfortably. But other than that, we won't touch it and we'll kind of cycle back on them if they just want too much.
and it sounds like you guys are prideful in like finding your seller and buyer essentially, opposed to like just like whatever happens. Is that kind of how you look at it? Because they like you're doing a service for them for sure. You're making money on it, absolutely. But it's a shitty feeling to like pull back, like not be able to like tell the seller that you could do something in 120 days and then have to whatever it is. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we've surpassed our goals on all of those. Like all of our contract periods, we're coming like way earlier. So that's been really, really nice. And, it's been amazing. And Morgan loves this too, is like we've been helping a lot of people out. Like one that just went through this week, like her husband had cancer. They're in their 80s. They couldn't pay the property taxes on it. Like, and we had that deal go through for him this week. And it just like, we take pride in that because ultimately you're dealing with people. It's a people business. That's how we find our connections. If somebody wants to go with another wholesaler, that's amazing. But with us, they're going to have that person to person feel. The way I do that over text and not getting on the phone is I make sure they know it's me. I'll say just something random like, "Oh, you're in Virginia. Do you like Virginia Tech or do you like University of Virginia?" Like, so they know they're talking with the person. And yeah, I think that's big on us.
Yeah, you have to find the meaning in it. And I think for us, like we'll never touch something that we can't follow through on just because like our conscience matters
Yeah.
more at the end of the day than just locking something up like and just bidding for the highest price and then not following through. Like that's not the best feeling ever.
And could I add one more thing? That just adds to your workload, and you have to get that lot off, and your spread is like not much, and you're just wasting time in that direction instead of something growth oriented. So it's not good for you either.
Yeah, I took a coaching student on probably about 2 years ago or something, and he was double closing or trying to wholesale, and I was looking at the contracts he had or the piece of land he had under contract. I'm like, goodness, like we're never gonna sell these. Like you got to tell the sellers, like no, like we're not doing this. Like the surveys are needed. Like it's 8 miles off the road. There's nothing near. It's sloped. It's a side of a mountain. Like that's just promising. The people. That's why wholesaling has such a bad name. From some sellers, I'm sure you get it all the time, that because like the inability to follow through. Like it would be amazing. All these offers are amazing that these sellers are getting if people follow through, but it's just not the reality. But what you guys are doing, like you can get word of mouth for sure. Have you guys had any like word of mouth deals that you got?
Yeah, we've had a couple referrals. We just closed one out in Colorado. Like super random, super cool property, side of a mountain. Like
Yeah.
no way we could have ever. But yeah, and we sold it. And that one took about 3 months. We did end up putting it on the MLS and novating it. But it was like the only buyer ever that would ever be interested in it. He was like a mining guy, like it was crazy. But
Yeah.
there's a buyer out there for every piece of land if it works. So
For
yeah.
sure. If the price is right, absolutely. So I think everybody who's listening is waiting kind of like, all right, how much money have these guys made in 8 months? How many deals have they done? Let's break down some numbers, guys. How many deals to date have you gone through the full cycle with?
We've closed 10 and we have 3 that are about to close. So 10 right now. And we've made, I mean, just like profit or actually like just money made 160,000. We average around like, 15K a deal, a little bit over that. And that's kind of our statistics right now. And we look to just improve. I mean, it's crazy to think that this is all within, and it just turned 8 months like a couple days ago. It was 7 months a couple days ago. So we're just really getting started. And yeah, that's where we're at.
Seems like you guys are like locked in, like you understand, like there's a lot that happens in your first 6-8 months of this business, and it seems like I don't know if you guys feel the same, like locked in, like this is what we're doing, like things happen faster once you have some more experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you kind of have the kind of knowledge under your belt, the experience, things can move a lot quicker, especially because we're open to all deals and we've had experience. I mean, 12 different properties under, like we do houses sometimes, like it kind of gives you the full spectrum scope of like the entire industry, and you're able to really like be just really locked in, and helping like him, working with him is amazing because we're kind of like yin yang, and it's like a great, like his strength, like he's so amazing at sales. Like he gets on the phone and people just like open up to him. Like he's like a natural. I'm really good at like the tech and the back end and the dispo. And so we like balance each other out too. And we were just like lucky to be in a place in our careers as entrepreneurs where we could go in full time off the bat. And I think that's really helped a lot too.
Are you guys putting like full-time hours into this, or like what does that look like on the board?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we put everything into this business, and then we still have our side businesses that we'll run and just have as side income. But we're focused right here, right now, and then eventually we might branch back out when the time's right. But yeah, it's been a blessing, and I think that we take pride in just the mindfulness aspect to think clearly throughout this process. If you're in launch control and you're going through text every day and you're comping, it can get mundane and you can start not finding your spark again about how I'm going to be excited about each deal. So we do make sure that we're refreshed every morning. We try to meditate 10 minutes every morning, just get that started. And then we have a whiteboard right here. We'll put our future vision up on where we're growing into. And our energy works best when we're being pushed. So if we get used to something, we either try to make it better or find a bigger way of doing it. And that energy comes back, and we just try to stay in the pocket with that. And we have the experience from you get your butt kicked in entrepreneurship and stuff's going to happen. It's not going to go your way. And I had to get used to these damn contract periods where it's like it has to go through title and closing. And like I wasn't used to that. So now my nervous system's a little bit more like, okay, the money will be there in 30 days. Like, in our past businesses, it was a one-on-one transaction that happened in an hour of speaking to somebody. This is a little bit more timely, and we've gotten used to that.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? What's that long-term vision board look like?
We want to eventually, so we're in San Diego, California, and we had to go, other spots of the country to find our first couple of deals. There's potential out here in the desert, I think, as far as getting lots hooked up, getting that all ready to go for mobiles or anything like that. I like that as I see what's happening in America with, housing and people getting priced out. And my TikTok and Instagram is filled of people that live in their van and whatnot. So I've become a fan of these modular homes and stuff that's price accessible for people. And I think that American dream for a middle-class person could be that with a couple of acres in the future here. People respect their space now. So I would like to do some communities like that if we down the line are in that position.
Just kind of the next levels of land, I think, is interesting to me too. Like doing more subdivide, splitting it up, even like utility hookups, kind of just like exploring those next phases of like not just profit, but getting them ready for like the end developer or whatever, like is interesting too.
Before we get back to the episode, hit the subscribe button below, turn on your notifications if you haven't already. We bring this content to help you guys become better land investors, to have an amazing 2025 in land investing. Other than that, let's get back to the episode. That's awesome. I mean, you guys are crushing it. How many properties do you have for sale right now?
We have 3 right now.
I think, yeah.
And those are all locked up to close, correct? Or no?
Finding buyers.
Yeah.
Finding buyers right now. Okay. So 10 closed to date. And then what is like, how many leads are you guys getting per day, per week, per month? Like how high volume is that?
A
So
lot.
it's very high volume. I wish I could show you the chat. So basically, they'll come flooding in every day, and then I'll decipher about two, three, four that are like quality. And then we'll go from there. And some days I feel like none are quality, and we just keep on rolling the dice. And then from there, it's up to us to have it organized, to follow up at the right time, to continue speaking with them. And I think the biggest thing is honestly not being scared. Like don't be scared to shoot an offer that might be a little bit low. Explain to them why it's at that price. Like doing all those things on the front end that allow for you to have success when you're dispoing it.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about hiring. Is that something you guys 2 months, 3 months, 1 month? Like how urgent is that getting someone on board?
ASAP, ASAP.
Shit.
We're kind of in the phase of like, in order to scale, you have to organize the systems yourself and like really lock into them. Up until this point, Sage and I have just been daily, just like kind of going in and attacking whatever is there. Now we're kind of at the point of systemizing it to a point where it can be explained. And we both are, have a coaching
Yeah.
background. So we just are naturally thinking that way now. How do you explain this to somebody and break it down in a way that can be passed off? You can't teach intuition. You can't teach like what Sage has an amazing gift to do is like be a people person, but you can teach how to organize and how to systemize. So that's kind of where we're at. But hopefully in like 2 months
And
max, we'll find somebody.
I do want to add in just real quick is we're trying to figure out where our legs are. So, I don't know how a lot of people run their business, but Ron, you'll understand what I'm saying. It's like with just your core foundation, without like anything, like where are your legs? In my past businesses, I would find where my legs are with what am I doing numbers wise without getting the influencer involved or running the ads? Like, what can I self generate? And we're trying to see where we're at self generating and where we can get the highest point on that and then bring in people and scale. I think AI is a great tool. I've been just watching a lot of YouTube this week. I think people in our age group will be able to profit off of using AI and systemize some stuff. In the long term, I don't know what AI will do. I'm a fan of giving people jobs. I've gotten a lot of fulfillment in that in the past. And we might check out the Philippines, or I've heard people are in Colombia now, wherever we can, help somebody pay for their life. I would actually almost rather take than AI. So we're in that little back and forth right now and figuring out what's going to work for us.
That makes a ton of sense. How does this business model kind of a lot of business models you can't make $160,000 in your first 8 months. How does this business model, you guys are entrepreneurs, weigh against like other businesses that you've looked into in the past or you've actually done in the past?
Can I jump in?
Go ahead.
So I like real estate's a great avenue because it's something in the world that no matter what the time is, like it's going to be a thing that's there. Housing, land, it's always going to be there. There's a value point that's set into that. When you're in other businesses, which I love too, but health trends, social media selling, I have myself and I have a lot of friends that they've seen the waves with that. And I think our generation is going to see, yes, you can blow something up in 6 months, a year, but are you going to be able to sustain it and keep it? And what I love about real estate is if you are actively working and trying your best, you will find projects. And you got to be open-minded. If wholesaling's not working or you're not getting the clients with, big acre deals, check out houses, look into modulars, like check out every avenue because once you learn this skill set, you can bring it anywhere in real estate. And it's just not being scared and thinking you need a PhD and whatever, or being a real estate agent to do it. You just have to have that open mind. So that's why I love it, is because I'm bringing you money for your thing. I'm not selling you on a transformation or anything, which is great too. I love that too. It's a different type of sell. So I am happiest when I have both in my life, and yeah.
Yeah. I just like that it's a vehicle you can like just put your head down and work and then see the result.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's like very healthy. And I think a lot of people want to sink their teeth into something where they feel like if I just am consistent, I wake up every day with a vision and I don't like let up from that vision, like I will see the result. It's like inevitable. And I think this is really an industry where you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. having good partners to lean on, like you two working well together, clearly, obviously is helpful. Do you guys have any plans, like as far as like putting your profits in places, whether it's longer term investments or is it just reinvesting into the business? Like, what does that look like?
Well, I think we've always done one thing is putting all the money we have into whatever businesses we're in at the time. So we can obviously scale once we, get in set if we're going to want somebody in the Philippines or AI, whatever that's going to look like, how we're attacking this business. And then whether it's like just trading my other side business, her other side business. And then for real estate wise, that's a good question. I really see, Ron, it's something that I daydream about, but wholesaling and being virtual is like you make so much money hand over fist without putting much in. That's where I'm at right now. But we want to get bigger with some bigger projects like the stuff in the desert or whatever we can do. But one thing I do love about this business is everything goes into marketing, dude. That's amazing. Like when I have my gym, I had to pay the overhead. The sauna has to go. The cold tub has to go. I had to pay a trainer, and then I get paid.
Hmm.
I just love it going right into marketing, and let's see what works.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a
I
good
think
point.
eventually there's so many different avenues like with real estate too. Like I dream about something passive eventually that we can invest in. Whether I don't know if that's a rental. I don't know if I fully believe in the rental model to be honest, but I mean that's kind of where we're at too, is just like really staying expanded and finding something that we're gonna be able to just like continue to grow with as we're doing this business and then have something maybe be passive or in the real estate world too. So we'll see.
That makes a lot of sense. Have you guys looked into or like a target any high ticket double closing where you're buying for 700, selling for 800? Has that been anything you guys have talked about or done or tried to do?
Dream about. Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
coming up on that. I feel like the conversations we're having are heading in that direction. And once you get used to it's just numbers. Like if you can do a 50 to 60,000, you can do that. You just have to like get your mind regulated on it's like the same type of spread. It's just multiplied a little bit and it's the same basic foundations. And I think now after seeing our success, we're getting there now. And you can do as much mindset work in the world. You're going to have to go through the process to actually like be there and ready to do it. And I think now that we put in this hard work, we've had a lot of nights and stuff like wondering if our deals are going to go through because we like jumped into this full time. Now that we have that, I think we're getting ready to do some of that.
Yeah,
Like
I think
subdivides are interesting to me, like the
Yeah.
minor subdivides and survey hacks, like all the things that you guys teach. Now it's kind of like I want to be able to try some of those projects and see some of those bigger spreads. Yeah.
think you guys would kill it with subdividing that kind of stuff. I think you guys, all those really high ticket double closing, you can bring a ton of experience with your wholesaling, with your double closing background. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge way to just bring more value as well, not just like increasing profit, which it will increase profit, obviously. But you guys seem value driven as well as like providing more value, like you're creating more lots. If you're subdividing something, you're creating another area that someone can live on in the future, which seems to really motivate you guys as well. What about like what advice do you have for people looking to get into this business? Have people in your family, friends talk to you like, what are you doing? Why are you sending all these text messages to everybody? Like, what does that look like? And then advice for people who are looking to get into this as well.
I would say we have a lot of friends that are realizing what we're doing and very interested in it. In 2025, you can't really do anything without people saying, "Oh, what are you doing?" And what are these deals like? So that comes up. I think getting into this is just like have your dedication, learn the process because I think it's going to be a value for anybody's time because you're getting into a field that the money's there. Like eventually, like whenever you're in your right niche in real estate, there's so much opportunity that's built into it. And in America today, I think that's just such a high value. A lot of other things are all up for grabs and ups and down, but real estate is a steady ship. And if you can learn your way in it, you can really move forward. So that's my biggest sell on it. But that's a long-term thing, and they'll have to come across that when they come across that. But we definitely have people like, hey, what are you doing here?
How do you do it? How do you get into it? I think with any business, you have to wrap your head around like you're gonna have to invest to
Yeah.
get going. And this was definitely we were not new to that concept of like you're gonna have to put your monthly thing on a credit card. Your marketing is going to cost money. Like if you want to do this at scale, and it's a numbers game, and that's something we learned really quickly. So, not sugarcoating it for the people that are interested, but just, realize you're going to have to put money in to get money out. And that's just kind of the name of the game. There are levels, like if
Yeah.
you don't have money to invest, off the bat, that's fine. You can door knock, you can do whatever. But that's kind of what we break it down for people that way too. But the possibilities are limitless. So
Some people you'll tell like about the business model and they'll be like, oh, that's too much work. And then other people, it's like, okay, that sounds really interesting. They'll ask more questions.
Mhm.
Everyone's looking for like quick, making money faster, easier,
Mhm.
anything like that. You guys are losing sleep over deals. You guys are putting a lot of time, energy, effort into this business model. And it's not always like sunshine, like for sure. Can you talk about any hurdles that are just, I don't know if anything stands out in your head, like remember that one time we did that? Without buying deals, I think there's less risk without putting money out because I've
Yeah.
bought deals. We have a 5-acre property we're trying to sell with a failed perk test. We bought it for $100,000. We just got a $120,000 offer. It's probably worth $250 with a past perk test. But like things like that, like those are things that keep me up at night when you have $100,000 out. But what about like mistakes that someone could learn from?
So I think getting like you said, like it's all relative, when you're hung up in deals, whether like people are dropping out or you don't know if it's gonna go, like really taking a step back and realizing in the scope of things in the business, like one deal isn't gonna make or break me if I'm gonna get to where I want to go. So like we've had to like really sit and talk about those things and like get to the bottom of why we're feeling that way. And my biggest thing, and I'll let Morgan go, is like I just like to stay active if I'm anxious. Okay, there's nothing I can do about this. A lot of it is in other people's hands. Let me do something that's in action in the business. Let's try to get another one under contract. And that tends to just help, but you're going to go through the emotions regardless. I wish it wasn't that way, but it's just being human.
yeah, this is a people business. You'd come across people, a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different intentions, a lot of the time. So, I think for me personally, because I'm pretty heavy on the dispo, I'm speaking with the buyers and trying to find people, and we do it kind of within such a tight time frame a lot of the time. Like I've had to get used to this feeling of like the monkey on my back of like I got to get this off for the seller in the next 2 weeks, and then also realizing like you control the deal. So it's like
Yeah.
taking your power back in a lot of situations for us has been huge because in the situations where we've been kind of at the mercy of the buyer who wants to extend, who, is it getting back to us, who didn't put in the earnest money or whatever it is, realizing like you're the one that locked this up. You have the full control and you kind of create your business and your integrity the way that you want with how you do the deal. So that's kind of been a huge learning curve too for us.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we are human and go through emotions for sure with these deals, and it can become stressful at times. But I like your mindset, Sage, as far as like there's another deal out there that you can get. A lot of people in the community wonder like how do you pitch, not you personally, but how pitching double closes, pitching these things. Sellers not going to want me to sell their property or wholesaling. Like, what is your strategy when pitching? Like, okay, I need this 180 days or whatever the timeline looks like. Is it just transparency? What does that look like, though, Sage?
Sometimes I'll mention just the reality of the situation. So one of the deals that we're waiting on is we're like 95% land, but we have a house right now in Arkansas that it's just so killer. It's on 5 acres. There's a horse farm, and the house was built by hand. So we got somebody super interested in it. It has its issues with the foundation, yada yada. But with that situation, I said, hey, this is an amazing property. You guys are about to get foreclosed on. There were some negative consequences, and we can do this for you. Like, and we got them hooked up with like people that are gonna bring their horses there and live in there like the perfect buyer.
Mm.
So
explaining that we're going to market your property to somebody because we can't, renovate this or we can't live in it. So this is what we're going to do to get you out of this situation kind of thing.
Yeah. And then also coming through for people, like if I have somebody and I'm negotiating with them and I tell them this is the price point that I'm maxed out at and I have that boundary, they know what they're getting into. And then we love to deliver. I think we've had one that we didn't deliver so far and it fell out because of some issues, but we've delivered on everything else, which is like, we love those numbers.
Yeah.
That's an awesome.
I think just like breaking it down for people on the front end, like We're a creative real estate investment company. So we do multiple things with the land. You know, sometimes in a situation
Oh,
where
yeah.
we have, you know, a local family that's going to want to move on your property and we get it set up for them. And, you know, like just kind of explaining it very simply for people, I think is kind of helps it just people can comprehend it a little bit better. We have a builder that we
Yeah.
work with in this area or whatever it is, just in terms of the double close or the wholesale. And just saying like, you know, we have kind of a network that we work with and just simplifying it for them.
And that's true in the markets we're in. Like I have a guy in Carolina right now. We'll text him and it's like boom, like this guy's buying up everything. So we have a couple of those relationships from being in groups and whatnot on Facebook. So you know, and we talk to a lot of agents, and I'm all about being casual with agents and telling them I'm gonna get you paid. It's not scary. Like you're gonna get 5, 6, 7 grand off of this. Like this is all good. Let's work together. And they're all for it. You know, like when we were first starting off, there was the stigma with agents and investors being a little bit scared of them. Once you get all this terminology down and you're speaking with the agent, they're gonna win. So they're gonna want to work with you. So
Push it. Yeah.
we have a lot of them too.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys are problem solvers, which like most of the people I get on the podcast are really successful. Like you guys are solving problems for sellers and you're just being creative with the way you do things. Not all by the book, absolutely. But you guys are solving problems. What are your like I guess what is it, March? What are your 2025 goals as far as deals, profit? Are you guys goals people, or is it just like, I know vision, you had that all written down, but is it like you have number goals as well?
Yeah, we definitely want to break 300K, which I think we'll do within the 12 months.
I want a 6-figure deal this year. That's like my goal.
And that's her thing.
Yeah.
So she's been really thinking about that. Yeah.
So if you get Morgan, if you get a subdivide, is that something you're gonna like get funding for? What does that look like if you
Probably.
are you guys targeting those as well?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. It's something that, you know, because we kind of have this wide scope and we have a little bit more time on our side now with the amount of time we've been in the business that we can afford to kind of like, you know, sell them off individually and do that whole deal. It's 100% something that we would want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's yeah. If you target the 6-figure deals, the way you guys can sell and talk to the people and then dispose on the back end, like I think you'll have no problem getting that deal. And like it's like you look at like, okay, your goal is $300,000 this year. Like, okay, let's just do $1 million next year, but only let's do 20 deals because that's a realistic number for 2026 for you guys. Like, let's do less deals, bigger deals, and I think that's naturally how you're. Once you do that first 6-figure deal, like, why are we doing these $12,000 deals?
Exactly.
But anything else that you guys wanted to add that you guys are doing differently, or anything like, okay, this is working really well, that people should hear about?
I think we're really finding with the text, like the simplicity of it, we really enjoy and not overcomplicating it with needing multiple channels of marketing. So instead of going like horizontal with your marketing, going deeper into one channel. And I think that's something that we have really found success with. You know, because I think a lot of people want to hire a cold caller, they want to do this and that. And like, I think there's value in that once you're at the point of scaling. But for us, I think it's been surprising in a good way, to kind of really stick with what's working. And that's like a really big thing too, is like find what's working, even the little successes, and just don't stop doing that. If you find a market or you find a way that you market a deal or a sales tactic or whatever's working for you, just like don't try to reinvent the wheel from what you're already doing that's successful.
Anything to add, Sage?
I have to agree. All three are amazing. Mail, text, and call. Like they all can work. I've seen mail do crazy things for people. And I've seen text. Text was just the first thing I saw, and I was like, I'm trying to roll tomorrow. Let's see if we could like when we first started, I'm like, I can be in touch with somebody tomorrow about this. Like, let's do it. And then even just building relationships.
Yeah.
The guy that we sold his Colorado 20 acres gave us 2.5 acres in California. So it's like, you know, when you start getting repeat customers, I would think our biggest mindset thing too is we try to stay clean with everything and try to just stay locked into your bigger vision. You know, because once you get these systems down, it's like muscle memory, and then just staying locked into that bigger vision, and things will start to happen in that direction as long as you're practicing it, you know? So practicing it looks like switch your list that you're pulling to some bigger acres. You know, if you want to survey, get it into people that have the homes right there. Like just start doing that, and it's the same amount of energy. It's just opening up your mind a little bit further and thinking that you're worthy to do that. we feel, I don't want to say worthy, we feel like we can do this because we went through, I mean, dude, some of the wholesaling stories, like we've been up and down with buyers. We've been through the whole no perk test, failed, like all of it, you know? So I think we're ready for that now.
That's awesome.
I
Yeah,
think one more thing. Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Morgan.
I think one of the biggest things is realizing there's people on the other side of the text. There's people on the other side of the mail. There's people on the other side of the calls. Like these are all just people. Every single person is going through something and has a situation that you can help them out of. And as long as you are bringing that energy and as long as you are being yourself in this business, like you're going to take it very far because people are always going to remember you, the person that made them feel like they could get out of a situation or that, you know, they have something like whatever it is, people will remember how you, your business like made them feel. That's reputation. And I think in real estate, I've realized like the power of having those relationships. And so just keeping that in mind too.
I think that's a good lesson for everyone, honestly. Like, even if it's, I don't know, even if you're in our Discord community and like messaging people back and forth, like there is a person on the other end. The YouTube comments that we reply to, that's a good message for me as well, honestly. Like, just like mentally, like I've never met you guys until face to face until here. Just like there's people on these other side of these messages, whether it's text messages. And you talked a little bit before about like shiny object essentially with marketing and going different marketing channels. I really like that as far as diving deeper into what you're doing. Some people like send one mailer out and it failed, so they're like, okay, got to go to the next thing. That doesn't work. Send 500 texts. That doesn't work. All right, got to do the next thing. Cold calling doesn't work. All right, this business isn't for me. This business doesn't work. Opposed to like, okay, let's actually figure out what's going on. Let's systematize it like you guys are talking about. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys coming on. It seems like you guys have a great partnership in this business and have great things ahead.
Dude, thank you. And thank you for, you know, just everything you've done
Yeah.
and outlining everything and
The support too. It's been
Yeah.
major.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, if you guys are watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button below. Morgan, Sage, thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
As always, thank you for joining. Please do us a huge favor and like and subscribe our YouTube channel and share this with a friend. It really means the world to Ron and I, but more importantly, it could help change the life of someone else. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next episode.